So those are questions we don't have a lot of answers for.
Early mortality, is there a certain group of trees, the little ones first, and then the mature ones, or the aged ones? What, is there a pattern?
Yeah, the insect actually is attracted to a stressed tree for most. So if you've got trees that aren't getting watered, and so they're drought stressed, or they've been damaged in some way or whatever, the insects can detect that, and they will go after those trees first. But after a while, you've got so many insects out there, there's so much pressure that they're just going to go after anything.
And the point being, those trees being their stress, their immune
system basically is down.
Reduced. And
yeah, exactly.
So the potential for successful reproduction is heightened.
Yes, exactly.
Brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Insect.
Yeah.
Makes sense now.
Okay. Okay, so let's kind of get to that life cycle that we were talking about. So, you know, your basic emerald ash borer life cycle is basically like a butterfly. Okay. So you got 4 stages. You have an egg stage, you have a larval stage, it pupates, and then you have an adult. Okay. And so the larval stage kind of looks like a small tapeworm. You don't mind that description. It just kind of flattened, segmented body parts. And then it pupates in the very early spring, and then May, June, July is when the adults come out of the trees, and then they go around and lay eggs. And that whole cycle takes, usually takes a year to occur. It can take 2 years early on in the infestation when the trees are still quite vigorous, and the trees are able to kind of fight back. So it slows down the growth of the insect, and so it takes 2 years. But once you get a good population going, you're going to have them reproducing in a year. So.
You probably said it, each adult can lay how many eggs per?
Oh, each adult can lay maybe around 50 to 100 eggs. Yeah.
And at which stage is it the most destructive to a tree?
Yeah, it's the larval state. I mean, in fact, I'll be showing a picture of that. Yeah, it's the larval state that damages the tree. So, so the host is, of course, the ash trees. And we have mostly the green ash and the white ash, and those are the species of ash trees that we have. And a lot of people kind of know the cultivar names: Marshall, Seedless, Patmore, autumn purple. A lot of people have an autumn purple ash or purple ash. And that's this nice kind of purpley colored tree in the fall. The green ash is usually kind of a yellow color. And there's a few other kinds of ash trees we have. We have a few black ash, blue ash. And, you know, there's some ID characteristics. You know, in winter, this is how you identify your trees. You might see some seeds hanging off, or the galls. And I was going to bring in a gall, but I didn't get one. If you have trees that look kind of like this in the winter, it's probably a white ash. Do you have something like that?
That's quite a mess.
Yeah.
The stuff they drop is just everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. There's only one other known host of emerald ash borer, and that's something called fringe tree. And it's just really kind of a little shrubby thing, and most people have never heard of it, and there's not a lot of them around. And it's only attacking fringe tree that are really, really stressed. So it's not like a big, important host for them. So. Okay, so it's the larval stage. That is the damaging stage. So what it's doing is it's feeding under the bark, and it's right underneath the bark where all that movement of water and nutrients occurs in a tree. And so if it's in there disrupting that tissue, it's going to then kill the tree, damage the tree. The adult will do a little bit of feeding on the leaves, and that's about it. It doesn't do much. But the larval stage is the... Okay, and so when it pupates, then and becomes the adult, it's going to chew its way out of through a hole. So you can kind of see the head of the insect, of the adult there. It looks like an alien. And the whole shape is kind of distinctive that it comes out of. It's So that's why there's kind of, if you're looking for, is emerald ash borer in my tree, we sometimes say, well, look for the little D-shaped holes.
So they're not crawling in, they're crawling out.
They're coming out. Yeah, that's the exit hole. That's the exit. That when they go in, they're just a tiny, tiny little thing that hatches out of the egg, and you don't see the entrance hole. It's so tiny. All right. So all that damage then is sort of, manifested in the top of the tree as kind of a sparse-looking tree with lots of dead branches and whatnot that die back. And unfortunately, a lot of our ash trees kind of look like this anyway, because ash really likes a lot of moisture, and in our climate, we don't generally give it much moisture. So we have some stress-looking ash trees that kind of look like this, and that's another reason it's kind of hard to find emerald ash borer, because our trees don't look really good. And we've looked at lots of declining trees, and we can't find it. Sprouts, water sprouts, suckers will often come up on trees that are really stressed from emerald ash borer. So and that's basically just these little branches shoot up here out of the trunk, right there. Little suckers like that. And then the woodpeckers like to feed on those little larvae underneath the bark, and so they will actually strip the bark off of an ash tree. And sometimes it's so bad. So this is the normal bark here, and then all this blonde colored area is woodpecker bark stripping. And they're going after those larvae under there. Because you can have like thousands of larvae in an ash tree. So, but the woodpeckers are not going to control the insect. They're just, that tree's dead. So, okay, and there's all sorts of other borers in ash. Okay, and they even have names like ash borer, and banded ash borer, and ashen privet borer, and red-headed ash borer. So we have a lot of insects already in ash trees that do kind of the same sort of thing that emerald ash borer does. But these are they're not very aggressive. They're going to be attacking trees that are declining and dying and stressed. So they're not going to go after the really healthy trees, but emerald ash borer will. So we have people, sometimes arborists, tree care professionals will come out and say, oh, you've got ash borer, and people assume it's emerald ash borer when it's probably one of these things. That's what's going on. And then they pay for treatments, and unnecessarily.
Yeah, I was going to ask if the treatment options are different for these. Like, is it easy to get rid of this
Yeah,
bug?
well, if you've got a lot of these, your tree is probably on its way out already. You're not going to get other than maybe this one. This one you can spray for and control and do okay with. But the others are, like these two especially, they go after just dead firewood sitting there. I have a whole bunch of these in my garage that keep breeding in the firewood that I have stored in my garage, because they just, but they're attracted to that wood, and they just keep coming back to it. So, yeah, you're really not going to accomplish much by trying to control most of these. And then those samples back there, if you want to look at some of those borer samples in the wood, those kind of show you the different kinds of holes that these different kinds of borers make. So. And then there's the adult stage, and there's a lot of insects that look like emerald ash borer. So there's your emerald ash borer, a long, slender, bullet-shaped insect. And there's all sorts of other green beetles out there that kind of resemble emerald ash borer. People kind of get all excited when they see them. All right, and then because this is a regulatory insect, and we haven't found it in the state, if you see something that you think is emerald ash borer, contact somebody, me or Department of Ag or somebody, because we need to know about it. So, all right, I'll just kind of quickly go through the treatments. The homeowner treatment, there's basically one common homeowner treatment, and that's the soil application. And basically you mix something up in a bucket and you dump it around the base of the tree. And that's it. Or there's granules that you place around the base of the tree. There's the limitations with these soil applications. Large trees, it's very hard to get good coverage, good control in a large tree, because the tree it might pick up some chemical and carry it up into these branches over here, but then the chemical might not get carried into the branches over here. So basically that's what it's doing. It's picking the chemical up out of the roots, by the roots, and carrying it up into the tree to protect the tree. So the recommendation kind of is about at 15 inches diameter. So a tree that's about 15 inches trunk diameter, that's about as big as you want to treat with a soil application. You don't want to go any bigger. Environmental exposure. So, you know, if you're treating a tree, you're dumping your chemical around the base of the tree, and you've got flowers growing there, they're going to pick up that chemical, take it into the nectar or the pollen, and then the honeybees and the butterflies and stuff are out to pick it up as well. And definitely this chemical here, dinotefuran, is they've determined it's very toxic to bees, but so is the imidacloprid a little bit. So, you know, there's that problem. There's toxic, getting it into the water. You don't want to treat a tree that's, growing right next to a pond or a river or stream, because this is very toxic to aquatic wildlife. And then over-application with grub control. So a lot of people will actually treat their lawn for grubs, for insects that get into and feed on the turf. And it's the same chemical. And there's certain limitations to how much chemical you can put down on a per acre basis every year. So if you're applying for your turf, you technically, legally, should not be applying more chemical for your tree. So there's those problems with soil applications. So I really encourage people to go with a professional application.